Our judge for this evening is Nick Fowler from Hardin County. He is a 2018 graduate of The Ohio State University and currently works as a crop insurance adjuster in Northwest Ohio. He and his family raise and sell South Downs and Club lambs. He has judged sheep and goats in 8 different states. Let's give our judge a round of applause. Now entering the ring, Class 1, Tag 304, Lacey McSweeney. Tag 448, Lauren Wells. And Tag 456, Olivia Dean. Judge, this is your class.
Nice trio here to start out in the lightweights here. I think a really nice pair here on top. I think both of these are similar just in the way they're put together, just in terms of being really big and stout at the ground. I think both of them have plenty of muscle. I think when we just let them go, let them walk around, I think the one that's going to be in first here probably just holds himself together a little bit right behind that shoulder. I think he's just a little bit stronger there, probably a little wider. I think both these young ladies do a really good job. They really get a good brace out of these goats. So I think just in terms of muscle and mass, I think these are two really nice ones. I just like the one that we're going to start out with when you put them on the move a little bit better. And then the one that's going to be in third here, I think for a lightweight class, you kind of ran into a buzzsaw here. This is one that just needs a little more muscle and just some more time to continue to grow, get a little bit heavier, a little more muscle to him. Let's go ahead and give him a nice round of applause. Good class to start.
Results from Class 1. In third place, Lacey McSweeney. In second place, Olivia Dean. And in first place, Lauren Wells. Now entering the ring, Class 2. Tag 457, Olivia Dean. Tag 321, Hunter Kearns. Tag 307, Caitlin Friend. And Tag 310, Tommy Cullip. Judge, this is your class.
Facing that way. Once again, as we move into the next class, another really good class, and I think in particular this top pair, really powerful. A lot of the same things we said about that last class. I think the difference for me in this class is just the one that we're going to start out with. Just a little bit crisper, a little bit fresher and firmer, just right over that loin. And then when you get this one out, both on the brace and both just as he gets around the ring, this one's just bigger out over that hip, bigger in that pin set, bigger in that stifle. But I think two really good goats to start out with. Just need a little bit more from right behind in the one that's in second. Then we get into a goat here in third, one that definitely just has the width and the mass of the ones ahead of you. Probably just not quite as stout at the ground. This one probably just doesn't touch as hard, just doesn't touch as fresh. I don't think this goat's fat. Probably just doesn't have the amount of freshness and the trimness that we see in the ones ahead of him. But a really good goat to be third. Then we get into the red goat here down in fourth place. Another nice goat, grown well to this point. I think one that's finished and done a good job. Just runs out of muscle compared to the ones ahead of her. Let's go ahead and give him a round of applause.
Results from Class 2. In fourth place, Olivia Friend. In third place, Tommy Cutlip. In second place, Olivia Dean. And in first place, Hunter Kearns. Now entering the ring, Class 3. Tag 460, Gunnar Daniels. Tag 311, Avery Wilson. Tag 306, George Butler. Judge, this is your class.
Nice group here. We start out with the goat here at the top that is just really stout at the ground. He's big and burly, just all the way throughout his body. This young man does a really good job of getting this one just stuck and put together. When we get this one out on the move, I think maybe in comparison to even some in this class here, this one doesn't quite fit together quite as well. Gets a little bit weak right behind his shoulder. Just doesn't quite carry that in motion. Maybe gets a little bit just outside of himself on those back legs. I think if we could fix that, he has a lot of muscle. He has a lot of good pieces. There's a lot of potential there. Just need it all to come together. When you get him stuck like that, it all does, and he looks really good. The goat that's going to be second here, really good profile, really long-bodied, handles really good. This one just doesn't have the muscle ahead of you. Just need more width, more mass, more dimension to move up. And then the one that's going to be in third here, I think, is similar just in terms of the type and kind and the build. This one just isn't as fresh, isn't as firm to the touch. I think for the amount of muscle that this one has, I think you are starting to pack on just a little bit more fat. Just like to trim this one up just a little bit. Go ahead and give them all a round of applause. Another nice class.
Results from Class 3. In third place, George Butler. In second place, Avery Wilson. In first place, Gunnar Daniels. Now entering the ring, tag 427, Bailey Fuller. Tag 458, Gianna Pemberton. Tag 312, Tucker Wilson. And tag 430, Kinley Fox. Judge, this is your class.
Another nice group here. I think this one may be one of the more challenging ones down through just because there's a lot of differences and differences just in types and kinds. And I think as you get heavier in weights, you're going to run into more differences just in finish and just a lot of differences. I do think the one that starts this class does so fairly easily, just in terms of being one that balances up the best. When you get a hold of this one has the best combination of just having width and muscle and dimension, also still handling really fresh, good to the touch. I think this one of the things we'd like, or just a couple things we'd like to change, we'd like to make that one just move out better on those front legs, be quite a bit more flexible there, and then just widen them out and square them up just off those back legs a little bit. But I think the top shape and then the balance and the look that one has is really good. Then we get into a goat here in second. I think most closely follows that one just in terms of being stout and powerful and heavy muscled. I think this one, comparatively to everything else in the class, probably has the most on it, probably is the softest to the touch. Just like to trim that one up a little bit, and I think you could probably move them to compete with that one that wins. The one that we get here in third, this one is kind of a combination. I like this one when you handle it right over that rack, right over that loin. I think when you get back out over that hip, just not as level, just not as wide, not as much muscle, just not as wide and stout at the ground as the ones ahead of you. Then we get into the one that rounds out the class, and I think of these bottom three, I think this one is just the trimmest and the firmest to the touch down the top, but just in terms of balance and just overall muscle and overall width, I think this one has the least. So that's why you're at the bottom. If we could just give him more, I think that is high cut ability, a real lean goat. Let's go ahead and give them all a round of applause. Nice class.
Results from Class 4. In 4th place, Gianna Pemberton. In 3rd place, Tucker Wilson. In 2nd place, Kinley Fox. And in 1st place, Bailey Fuller. Now entering the ring, Class 5. Tag 459, Gracie Daniels. Tag 443, Kinley Fox. Tag 444, Mary Beth Back. And tag 449, Laura Mills. Judge, this is your class.
Really interesting class here. I think specifically in the top three, I think a lot of give and take, and I think there's definitely things you'd like to change about all three of these as we work through them. But I think definitely this is the first class we've had where we've had three that all have plenty of muscle. They're really stout. They're the type of goats that we're looking for. I think the one that we're going to start out with, I think. Just when you touch this one down the top, is the firmest, is the freshest, is the best over that, just the back half of his rack, his loin, his hip, his leg. I think this one handles really, really good there. I think this one is also the best just coming out of the top side of his shoulder through his neck, his head. I'd just like to change the way this one, the rest of his front end and his lower shoulder is. I don't really like him right behind his shoulder, and I don't really like just the angle to his shoulder and his blade. The way that it sticks out there. I'd just like to fix that just a little bit, straighten it out. But I think other than that, when you go back from there, I think there's a lot of good in that goat. Then we get into goat here in second. And I think when you just let these ones walk around the ring, you let them go free, I think this one does handle his skeleton the best overall. When you get right on top of him and handle him compared to the ones on either side of him, He's just softer to the touch. We just need to firm that one up, trim him up a little bit, but I think there's a lot there. There's a lot of good in that goat. Then we get into the one in third here. I think this one, when you get a hold of him right there, over his loin, over his hip, and his stifle, rivals the one that's in first place. This one just isn't put together near as well. As he gets out and walks around, you can just see his skeleton doesn't fit together right. He humps up at his top. He just gets rounder and shorter off of both ends. Just need to extend that out and just make him profile and balance quite a bit better. And he could definitely work up within this group. Then the goat we're going to round out the class with, I think just from a balance and a skeleton standpoint, is one that's really, really nice. This one just doesn't have near the muscle and the mass at this weight to compete with the ones ahead of her. Let's go ahead and give them all a big round of applause.
Results from Class 5. In 4th place, Kinley Falks. In 3rd place, Mary Beth Back. In 2nd place, Lauren Wells. And in 1st place, Gracie Daniel. Now entering the ring, Class 6. Tag 325, Bailey Fuller. Tag 323, Isabella Kearns. And tag 445, Mary Beth Back.
Only 3 in this class, but I think definitely just from top to bottom, really, really good, really stout class all the way through. And I think the one that wins this does so fairly easily in my mind, but I took quite a bit of time between 2nd and 3rd because later on they're going to have me pick a top 10, and I'll almost guarantee both of these will be back in the top 10. So even though you're towards the bottom of this class, don't be discouraged. I think this is a good group all the way through. The one that wins the class, though, I think just comes out and comparatively in this group when he hits the ring. Everything just flows together. Everything balances as he's walking. Everything just comes down, hits the ground the way that it should. I think this goat actually looks better walking around than he does bracing up. Sometimes when he gets braced, he wants to hump just a little bit. But when you get a hold of him, I think really massive. And when you study this one, just from in front of him, he's really wide in that chest. He's really stout at the ground. But at the same time, he still is really, really good through his shoulder, through his front end. Still has some length of body, still has some growth to him. That's a nice goat to start out with. And then 2nd and 3rd, I think you have some give and take between these two. I think there's definitely some positives to each of them. I think the one that's going to be 2nd most closely follows the class winner just in terms of the way he comes out of his head, or he comes out of his shoulder. He's just longer necked. He's better fronted. This one, I think when you get right in and study him just at the ground, he's just wider. There's more to him. He balances better. He flows better. This one's just not quite as long-bodied. He just gets a little bit more moderate. And he's not quite as stout at the ground as either the ones on either side of him. Just like to stouten him up, just stretch him out just a notch, but I think that's a nice goat too. Then the one that's going to be 3rd, like I said, this is a tough class. This one handles really, really good on that rack out over the loin. I think where he just kind of runs out is when you study him from just in front, from behind. Of these 3, he's just the narrowest at the ground, and he's just the narrowest as you come out over that hip, down into that leg and the stifle. This one definitely, he's plenty stout, has plenty of muscle, just not quite enough to compete in this class today. Let's go ahead and give them all a round of applause. Nice class.
Results from Class 6. In 3rd place, Mary Beth Back. In 2nd place, Bailey Fuller. And in 1st place, Isabella Kearns. Now entering the ring, Class 7. Tag 428, Griffin Fuller. Tag 429, Griffin Fuller. And tag 322, Hunter Kearns. Judge, this is your class. All first and second place winners, please report to the holding area.
As we move into this class, we're just going to go ahead and leave them the way that they stand. The young lady will be first, and we'll work this way. I think a really interesting class. I think the one that comes out and wins is just kind of the combination within this group. I think this one maybe isn't the heaviest muscled, just right over that top and right over that loin, but this one has plenty of muscle. I think the advantage this one has is this one just balances up quite a bit better than anything else out here. When you get out and walk him around, he holds his top line the best and still has a lot to him. I think the one here that's in second does have quite a bit of just natural shape and natural width. Probably just not as lean, probably not as firm as that one that's right ahead of you. And I think when you get out and go with this one, just need to level him out. Right over that loin, out into that hip. I think this one, compared to the ones on either side of him, just gets a little bit higher on that top, a little bit rounder off that hip. I think if we could fix that, maybe just extend him up in the front end a little bit, make him balance a little better. He definitely has the stoutness and the muscle to move up and compete. And then the one that's going to be third in this class, I think handle's really, really good just right on that rack. But as we move back from there, this one just runs out of gas and runs out of muscle from right behind. This one's just the narrowest, the lightest muscle when we get right behind him. But a nice group of goats here. Let's go ahead and give them all a round of applause.
Results from Class 7. In third place, Hunter Kearns. In second place, Griffin Fuller. And in first place, Griffin Fuller. Now entering the ring from Class 1, tag 448, Lauren Wells. From Class 2, Hunter Kearns, tag 321. From Class 3, Gunnar Daniels, tag 460. From Class 4, Bailey Fuller, tag 427. From Class 5, Gracie Daniels, tag 459. From Class 6, Isabella Kearns, tag 323. And from Class 7, Griffin Fuller, tag 428. Judge, this is your class. All third place winners need to be on standby. At this time, we'd like to thank our trophy sponsors, Scotttown Farmers and Farmerettes, Wade's Work and Western Wear, Fuller Show Goats, Chris Collier, Lawrence County Board of Education, Kent and Lisa Wells and family, and Daniel Show Goats. Let's give these sponsors a round of applause. And Starlight 4-H Club.
Well, let's start off here. Just give all these exhibitors out in the ring and all the exhibitors that have shown tonight a big round of applause. I guess coming down here, I've never been here before, so I didn't really know what to expect. When you go, I go all over, Ohio and surrounding states and judge quite a few shows, and you get a lot of differences just in terms of the size of the show, the quality of the show. And I think one thing, just a couple things I'll say about just this show. Numbers, probably fairly small compared to your average show. But I think quality-wise, really, really good. Just in terms of, I think everything we have out here, and then there are a couple of those classes, probably 2 or 3 goats deep, were really, really good. And the other thing is, this is a nice big barn. This arena is packed. I think that's really good for a 35-40 head goat show. There's a lot of people here. There's a lot of support. So I think you guys should be commended for that. And then, yeah, go ahead. Give everybody a round of applause. And then at the same time, I know there's probably FFA and 4-H advisors and parents. They know the time and the work that it takes to get these animals out here. And I'm sure there's some people in the crowd that do as well, but there's a lot of money, there's a lot of time in this. My brother shows some animals. He mostly shows sheep. He shows a little bit of cattle, a little bit of goats. But honestly, the reason that we show more sheep instead of goats is one, we raise sheep, and two, it's honestly a lot easier to be competitive in sheep with less money than it is goats. If you're going to be competitive in goats, it's pretty expensive, and it takes a lot of time. It may be little things just looking at these out here, but there's a lot of time that goes into adding just a little bit of hair on those legs. There's a little bit of time there's a lot of time that goes into getting these goats to stand here, set up, getting them to go around the ring. There's just a lot of time and work that goes into it, and I just want to make sure everybody realizes that there's a lot of time and money that's been put into this. So all you kids, just make sure that you're thanking your parents, thanking whoever's done this for you, whoever's taught you, because there's a lot of counties out there that I probably couldn't find the 7th best goat in the ring right now at that show. There's a lot of counties that there are good goats, but I'm just telling you, I've judged a lot of shows where I haven't had one as good as the worst one in this ring. So I was really, I guess, pleasantly surprised to get out here and see these. So let's just go ahead and give everybody one more round of applause, and I'll go out and show you your champion, and we'll work down through the top 10.
Your grand champion market goat is Isabella Kearns. Now entering the ring, second place from Class 6, Bailey Fuller, tag 325. Mary Beth back, tag 445 to the holding area. Your reserve champion market goat is Hunter Kearns. Now entering the ring from Class 2, tag 456, Olivia Dean. Your third overall is Bailey Fuller. Bailey Fuller is also the grand champion county born and bred goat. Now entering the ring from Class 6, Tag 445, Mary Beth back. Your fourth place is Gunnar Daniels. Now entering the ring from Class 3, Tag 311, Avery Wilson. Your fifth overall market goat is Gracie Daniels. Lauren Wells, tag 449. Tag 444, Mary Beth back to the makeup area. Your sixth overall is Lauren Wells. Now entering the ring, tag 456, Olivia Dean. See McSweeney to the makeup area. Your seventh overall is Mary Beth back. Your eighth place is Lauren Wells. Now entering the ring, tag 444, Mary Beth back. Your ninth overall is Olivia Dean. Now entering the ring, tag 310, Tommy Collip. Your 10th overall is Bailey Fuller. Bailey Fuller is also your reserve county born and bred. like to thank our trophy sponsors again, Scotttown Farmer and Farmerettes, Wade's Work and Western Wear, Buller Show Goats, Chris Collier, Lawrence County Board of Education, Kent and Lisa Wells and family, Daniel Show Goats, and Starlight 4-H Club. Let's give these sponsors a round of applause. Now entering the ring, Class 1, Lauren Wells, Gracie Daniels, and Griffin Fuller. Judge, this is your class.
As we move into showmanship here, I was telling the guys that run the ring here, I like having showmanship after the show. Makes it easier for me because I've seen everybody show already. Makes it go quicker for everybody. I think out here, 3 showmen that, you can tell they've all shown, they all know what they're doing. I think there's some give and take. There's a lot of differences. I think the young lady that's going to start, I think is probably just the most comfortable. Especially on the front end. She definitely gets the best brace. Sometimes I think that works to her fault. She gets that one over bracing and stretched a little bit, but that goat is weird just in the way sometimes he wants to get a little up in his spine, so he almost has to be stretched. But I think what wins it for her is she's just the most comfortable around the front, the most comfortable getting a brace. The young lady that's going to be second, she does a really good job, probably just a little bit smoother. I think probably just a little bit slower at getting things set at times. I think the young lady there in front of you just gets more brace, just gets more out of that goat. But I appreciate the smoothness you have. You do a really good job keeping the front end, getting that goat around the ring. And then the young man that's going to be third here, you just don't get quite the push, quite the brace as they do. Part of that is you're a little bit taller. It's harder to get down and get in. But you're just a little bit slower, just not quite as intense as what they are. But I think it was a really good class. You do a nice job as well. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Results from Class 1. In third place, Griffin Fuller. In second place, Lauren Wells. And in first place, Gracie Daniels. Now entering the ring, Class 2. Mary Beth Back, Gianna Pemberton, Lacey McSweeney, and Isabella Kearns.
Another good class there. I think some similarities between first and second. I think both of them do a really good job of just getting a brace out of that goat. They both get really good handles. I think the young lady that's going to win probably just does a little bit better job of just paying attention to getting that goat set just a little bit better. Maybe does just a notch better job keeping the head and neck straight the way that it needs to be. The young lady in second, you probably do get the most push and just brace out of that one. I just need to see him cooperate a little bit better with you, just in terms of both of them want to back out every once in a while, but yours need to see him walk just a little better as well. But 2 really good showmen to start out. Then we get into the young lady in third. Really good job setting this goat up. You're doing a really good job keeping his head up now. A couple times over there, you got a little bit too relaxed. Didn't quite get as much out of the front end, but he looks really good there. Then the young lady that's going to round out the class, this one just isn't wanting to cooperate for her. It's making it a little harder. He's not wanting to stand still, but a nice job nonetheless. Let's go ahead and give him a round of applause.
Results from Class 2. In 4th place, Lacey McSweeney. In 3rd place, Gianna Pemberton. And in 2nd place, Mary Beth Back. And in 1st place, Isabella Kearns. Now entering the ring for our senior goat showman from Class 1, Gracie Daniels. From Class 2, Isabella Kearns. Judge, this is your class.
Once again, like I said, in their respective classes, I think both these young ladies do a really nice job. I think just in terms of getting a goat braced and getting a handle on one, they do a really, really good job. And that's younger showmen. Just keep an eye on them and keep an eye on the way they do things and learn from them. I think there's one difference that kind of sets these two apart just a little bit. I think there's one that's just a notch better in the way that she holds the head. And is able to kind of keep the nose and the head of that one straight, keeps the neck just a notch straighter. And I think part of that, just being a little more comfortable on the front end, comfortable on the head, that one really doesn't move a whole lot. And once she gets it set, really, really looks good. The young lady at the front of the line will be your champion. Let's go ahead and give them both a big round of applause.
Your overall senior showman is Gracie Daniels. Now entering the ring, Caitlin Friend, George Butler, Gunnar Daniels, Bailey Fuller, and Hunter Kearns. Judge, this is your class.
Really nice class here. I think specifically within the top three, I think there's a lot of good pieces. I think the two young men that come to the top kind of separate themselves to just being just a little bit more comfortable just in how they brace those goats and they're able to hold a brace. And I think the winner here, you're really able to just get that done quite a bit faster. And I think part of the reason why you're maybe a little more comfortable is your goat's a little longer necked. So it's a little bit easier. You don't maybe have to get down quite as far as what he does. So that makes it just a little bit easier. You're a little bit smoother on the front end. I think that's the main difference. Both of you guys do a good job getting them set up, do a good job getting a really good brace. Two nice showmen to start out with. The young lady that's in third here, you do a lot of things the same. The big thing compared to these two young men is when we're over on the profile, once you get that goat kind of where you want it in place, I would prefer to keep her bracing, or keep the goat bracing with the front legs down. I think it just kind of takes away to have those legs dangling. I don't have a problem with you lifting. I don't necessarily have a problem with you lifting while I'm handling. I think just on the profile, I just like to see them a little bit more natural, be able to see them look how they're standing on all fours. I think that takes away just a little bit, but you do a really nice job. And showmanship, that's just a little nitpicky thing, but you do a nice job. And then I talked to the two young people that are going to round out the class. Just need to get a little more cooperation, a little more brace out of these goats, but they're doing a nice job as well. Give them all a round of applause.
Results from Class 3. In 5th place, Caitlin Brent. In 4th place, George Butler. In 3rd place, Bailey Fuller. In 2nd place, Hunter Kearns. And in 1st place, Gunnar Daniel. Now entering the ring, Class 4, Tucker Wilson, Tommy Cutlett, Avery Wilson, Olivia Dean, and Kinley Fox. Judge, this is your class.
Let's go ahead and give all these young kids a big round of applause. I think really competitive group all the way down through. I'm not going to talk a ton on the microphone about them. I talked to each of them individually, told them some things that they can work on. I think that what kind of separates the top end of this class compared to the bottom is just being a little more comfortable, getting a little bit more out of the goat, not only bracing, but just getting a little bit more out of the front end, just in terms of keeping the head up and the neck up. With little kids, with sheep, goats, cattle, anything that you're showing by the head or showing by a holder, the head is the control. So if you keep the head the way it needs to be, you keep it up, you keep it straight, the rest of the body is going to look pretty close to the way it needs to. And I think towards the top end, that's kind of just what separates these three. So let's go ahead and give them all a big round of applause. A nice group of showmen.
Now entering the ring for Class 3, Gunnar Daniels. From Class 4, Olivia Dean.
All right, let's go ahead and give both of these young people a round of applause. Nice pair of younger showmen. I think just the age gap in here is pretty big, and I think with that comes just quite a bit of experience, and I think the young man is just a little bit more comfortable on just how to get the front end done and how to get the front end of a goat shown. And I think some of that just comes with time, and also he has a big advantage just in terms of size and being able to power out and kind of put that goat exactly where he wants it and keep it there. So he's going to be your champion in this division, but get them both a round of applause. Two really good showmen.
Your junior